People who became successful after the age of 40, Part 2, Colonel Harland Sanders. When you see the smiling face of Colonel Harland Sanders on the Kentucky Fried Chicken logo, you probably think of fried chicken, secret recipes, and one of the most recognizable food brands in the world. But what many don't know is that Sanders didn't achieve his success until well past retirement age. His journey was filled with failure, rejection, and disappointment, yet he turned his life around after 65 and built a global empire. Early life and struggles. Harland Sanders was born in Henryville, Indiana in 1890. His childhood was difficult. His father died when Sanders was only 6 years old, leaving his mother to raise 3 children. At a very young age, he was forced to cook and care for his siblings while his mother worked. This was when he first learned to prepare meals, a skill that would later change his life. Formal education was not a big part of Sanders' life. He dropped out of school by the 7th grade and began working various odd jobs to support himself. Over the years, he tried his hand at many things: farmhand, streetcar conductor, soldier, insurance salesman, ferryboat operator, and even a railroad worker. But in each case, he either failed or quit. Nothing seemed to stick. By the time he was in his 40s, Sanders was far from being considered a success. He had little money, no stable career, and no clear direction for the future. The gas station and the first taste of success. In his 40s, Sanders began operating a service station in Corbin, Kentucky. It was here that his love for cooking began to resurface. Travelers passing through town would stop to refuel, and Sanders started serving them meals in the back of his gas station. His fried chicken quickly became popular. He opened a small restaurant and later a motel, where his cooking gained local fame. By the 1930s, Sanders was refining a recipe that used 11 herbs and spices. He also developed a method of pressure frying chicken that made it faster and more flavorful. By the late 1930s, he was awarded the honorary title of Colonel by the governor of Kentucky in recognition of his contributions to the state's cuisine. It seemed like Sanders had finally found success, but disaster struck. In the 1950s, the construction of a new interstate highway bypassed his restaurant, cutting off traffic and destroying his business. At the age of 65, Sanders found himself broke, living on his small Social Security checks. The turning point at age 65. Most men would have accepted defeat at that point, but not Harland Sanders. With only a $105 Social Security check in his pocket, he decided to start over. He had one thing of value: his fried chicken recipe. Sanders began traveling across the country, visiting restaurants, and offering to cook his chicken for their customers. If they liked it, he asked for a small commission on each piece of chicken sold. This was the beginning of what would become the KFC franchise model. Rejection was constant. Sanders was turned down over 1,000 times before someone finally agreed to his idea, but his persistence paid off. Slowly, more and more restaurants signed up. His recipe became famous, and the finger-lickin' good slogan spread across America. Global expansion. By the mid-1960s, Kentucky Fried Chicken was booming. Sanders sold the company to investors for $2 million in 1964, but he stayed on as the face of the brand. His image, with the white suit, black tie, and goatee, became a symbol recognized all over the world. Even after selling the company, he continued visiting KFC outlets, quality, checking the food, and promoting the business until his death in 1980 at the age of 90. By then, KFC had grown into one of the largest fast food chains in the world, with thousands of locations in dozens of countries. The lesson from Sanders' life. Colonel Harland Sanders' story is not just about chicken, it's about resilience. He failed at dozens of jobs, lost his business, and faced rejection after rejection. Yet, at an age when most people think life is over, he started again and built a global brand. His life shows that it is never too late to begin again. Age is not a limit, it can be the starting line. Sanders turned his greatest failure into his greatest success because he refused to give up. Conclusion. Colonel Sanders is remembered not only for Kentucky Fried Chicken, but for his determination. His story is proof that persistence and faith in your dream can pay off, no matter how many times you've been rejected. At 65, with nothing but a recipe and determination, Sanders built one of the most famous brands in the world. His life tells us one powerful truth. Success is not about when you start, it's about never quitting until you finish. Kindly subscribe for more videos like this.